Good. Well, we got you. We got you here now, so it's all good.
All right.
Okay, so let's go ahead now and catch this first call. Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from. I'm getting calls coming in. Bear with me.
Ryder from North Carolina. I want to know if the rabbi can tell me why time started changed at the birth of Christ when he died. Time started going up instead of coming down. Instead of 70, we got AD. We got 2022 AD, 2023. Explain that if Jesus wasn't real.
That's great. I have heard that before. I've never heard it on the show though. That's a good question. This will be a first, I think.
I have never heard that before.
It makes it's so close. It almost to me it makes me think about how the destruction of the second temple was how everything fell like around Jesus' time, but not necessarily on the time of his death. So I'm thinking about the timing. It's close, but let's hear what you got to say.
So there are times where you don't know where to begin. So so here it goes. So Herod the Great was born in 72 BCE. So when he turned 1 years old, it was 71 BCE. You don't really think that people are going, whoa, it's 71 BCE. And then the next year it's 70 BCE, and people go, holy smokes. So, no, that's not what was going on. And we'll take a very famous person. Let's take Josephus as an example. He was born in the year 37, right? That's a big year. It's the same year that Pontius Pilate stepped down from his authority. In 37, they weren't going around, whoa, it's the year 37. So that's not what was going on. People were going, 37 from what? All right. So as it turns out, the year that we use, like it was a production of the church. It was a Catholic monk, a man named Dionysius Exiguus, a 6th century monk who lived in Rome, came up with this. So of course he came up with a system that would comport with Christianity. It's not like the Buddhists came up with this, not like the Jews came up with this. So Dionysius Exiguus literally means Danny the dwarf. Why? I have no clue why he got that name. So he came up with this dating system. So of course he's going to come up with a dating system based on when he thought that Jesus was born. You're going to see how problematic this is. Prior to Dionysius Exiguus, I mean, what drove him to come up with this system in the year of our Lord is that prior to him, they were in Rome, they were dating Easters from the Roman Emperor Diocletian. Diocletian was the predecessor of Constantine. Diocletian eventually recuses himself, but Diocletian was well known among Christians as a person who persecuted Christians. So Dionysius Exiguus did not like the idea that Christians were dating like Easter from Diocletian, an emperor prior to Constantine. So he wanted to come up with some other system, and it came up with the system that's now in use, which basically the Julian and Gregorian calendar, which we use, is based on. So of course he's going to come up with that. He's not going to come up with a system, based on when Rabbi Gamliel was born. I mean, now what is very strange about this is that his dating system, the putative date for Jesus' birth, in his view, was the year 1, which creates a massive problem. The massive problem is that Herod the Great, who I mentioned earlier, was born in the year 72 BCE and died in the year 4 BCE. According to Matthew's infancy narrative, Herod the Great was very much alive while Jesus was alive. In fact, the people from the east who came following the star because they wanted to see the little baby king of the Jews and they want to encounter him, they came to Herod's palace. Herod was there. Please look it up for yourself. This is Matthew chapter 1 and chapter 2. Okay? So, according to Matthew, Jesus was born 6 years before Christ. I know that sounds outrageous, but this is a real indictment of the church, and I'll explain why. So here you have in Matthew, Jesus born within 2 years of Herod's death, because when Herod wants to kill all the infants born in Bethlehem, he calls for the death of all children who are under the age of 2. It doesn't say under the age of 1 or whatever. I mean, this story really never happened. It's a plot device. But the point that's being conveyed is that Jesus could be up to 2 years old. So Jesus, in Matthew's view, was born 6 BC. That's really what's behind all this. So it mocks itself. Moreover, and it gets worse from here, Luke also has 2 chapters that contain an infancy narrative. In fact, these 4 chapters, 2 in Matthew, 2 in Luke, are the only chapters in the Christian Bible that present us with the infancy narrative. They're both completely contradictory. There's no solution to them. For right now, I'm not going to go there. But according to Luke's infancy narrative, Jesus was not born in the year 6 BCE, but rather in the year 6 CE. Now, there's no year 0. So there's more than a decade between the two. Well, how do you know that? Well, because according to Luke's infancy narrative, Jesus was born at the time of a census of Quirinius, who is the governor of Syria, when he takes over power after Herod Archelaus is removed from power. Herod Archelaus was Herod's son, who, after following Herod's death, becomes let's call it the king, we'll call him the governor, whatever you want to call it. He is given authority over Judea. That's where I am, in the southern part of Israel. So that happens. So he governs Judea from the death of Herod from 6 BC to 6 CE. Herod Archelaus was a maniac. He was a complete, utter lunatic. So, and in fact, he was too crazy for the Romans. So he was removed from power because of a whole horrific episode on Passover in the temple. And Quirinius, the governor of Syria, was then given jurisdiction over Judea. And that, according to Luke, is when Jesus was born. So I think it would be very silly for Christians to say that the dating is something that demonstrates the messiahship of Jesus. I would concede this. That's the best that Christians have. The best argument that Christians have to support the messiahship of Jesus is advancing the notion that because countries around the world use the system, the Gregorian calendar, which is a correction of the Julian calendar, so therefore Jesus must be the Messiah, as though there's some verse in the Hebrew Bible that tells us that everyone's going to be using that date. So the dating that we use, that is used worldwide, just means that following Constantine's conversion to Christianity, this is what really happens. In the fall of 312, Constantine is victorious in a critical battle, and he attributes his success to the God of the Christians. We'll just say he then converts to Christianity. Okay, in three, he doesn't get baptized until before his death, and people point to that like he didn't really convert then. That's not correct. During that period, Christians typically didn't get baptized when they became Christians because they saw baptism as something that then locked up your salvation. So people frequently waited until they were about to die, and then they would get baptized, and then they knew that everything was all taken care of. You didn't want to get baptized when you were 15 and then be making all these mistakes. This was just the way people thought. Okay, so Constantine becomes a Christian in 312. He convenes the Council of Nicaea in the summer of 325, inviting nearly 2,000 bishops. Not that many showed up, but he invited leaders from all over the Christian world, the East and West. Remember, as an emperor, he presided over both. Okay, Christianity emerges as first as an officially recognized, sanctioned, licit religion, which it was not prior to Constantine. It then becomes a preferred religion. And by the time the 4th century is done, that means by the time we get to Theodosius, Christianity is the official religion of the Roman Empire. That's really important. Why? Because Theodosius is the last emperor to preside over the East and the West. He too has a very important council of Constantinople. I don't want to go into it, but while these emperors reigned, Jews were expelled from Jerusalem. I mean, these are the people you're proud of. After the Council of Nicaea, Jews were promptly expelled from Jerusalem and were not allowed to return to Jerusalem for 35 years until 361, when Julian, who rejected Christianity, said, okay, I don't believe in Christianity anymore, you can come back, okay? So the empire, it is estimated, becomes Christian. About 1 in 2 people in the Roman Empire by the end of the 4th century is Christian. Would it then shock you that the empire would then produce a monk who has nothing better to do with his time but translate all kinds of Vatican doctrines into the Latin language and come up with a new way of dating? So what do you think he's going to be looking for when the Jews celebrate Purim? Like, is he going to be dating from when Hillel became a rabbi, or when Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi had a bar mitzvah? Like, of course, the Roman Empire, which is Christian, Roman Catholic, Christian. I mean, really, Byzantine Empire. I mean, what do you think they would come up with? So, you know, using a dating system that is only points to how contrived the stories are in the New Testament, because it points to the fact that both according to Matthew and Luke, Jesus wasn't born in the year 1. So when you say 2022, you're mocking the church. You're not giving it credibility. The way we know when the true Messiah comes is not because someone's using a dating system. I mean, the Greeks had a dating system where they would date from Olympiads. I mean, there were so many dating systems used based on pagan emperors who were considered divine and gods. Does that mean, could you imagine, like, we will date something based on the year that Tiberius became king? They did that. Imagine someone say, you should really join the religions of the Roman Empire because we're dating it from when Tiberius became emperor. Imagine that. Would you find that a very persuasive argument? No. We look to the Tanakh. We look to the Bible. We don't look to Rome. We don't look to Vatican. We look to the book of Isaiah. We know about what will occur when the Messiah arrives. A worldwide peace and a worldwide knowledge of God. A universal understanding that there is one God and no other, the building of the temple, Elijah the prophet will come before that great day of the Lord. Read Isaiah chapter 11. Read Isaiah 43, the ingathering of the exiles. He will bring us back, bring the children of Israel back, and build the temple and read the last three passages of Ezekiel 37. When the temple will be among you, then the nations will know that I am Lord. Ezekiel 37, verse 26 through 28. Read Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 26 through 28, and you will turn to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Thank you for your question.
Very good, very good. All right. a lot of people not happy with those answers in YouTube land, but that's okay.
A lot of people are not happy with what answers?
Well, any of them. We have some, and welcome all the new Christians that are here, maybe for the first time. I know this has got to be tough hearing all this stuff. I actually have a personal dear friend of mine who let me know last 2 days ago that he has seen the channel and he's seen a few shows. He goes, I don't agree with any of it. I'm like, it's okay. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it, but you have to consider the fact that this is a truth message, and there's really nothing to agree with. It's more informative to you. So, anyway, with that said, Shalom, my dear friends. I just want to say thank you all for your support of the channel over the past 8 years. Many of you don't know, many of you do. I've been recently fired from my job because of this channel. And for the first time, I've actually been put in a situation to where I can take some time and invest towards making Tanakh Talk much better platform, more organized, better quality videos, emails, much shared different content, things like that. So if you guys would be willing, please consider donating monthly to help sustain Tanakh Talk and our family so we can keep this thing going and make it better than it ever has been before. There's going to be some links provided for you in the video description area below the video. Please, if you don't mind, check those out. Greatly appreciate it. Shalom, everybody.